Today we're going to be making blueberry cheesecake. So let's get going. The recipe calls for 4 cups of blueberries, but that all depends on your pan. You may want to use more, you may want to use less. Then a 1/4 to a 1/3 of a cup of water, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then for the graham cracker crust, you're going to need 1½ cups of graham crackers, which is approximately 10 squares. Then a 1/4 cup of confectioner's sugar, 6 tablespoons of butter melted, and then a 1/8 of a teaspoon of table salt. And then for the filling, you're going to need 2 packages of cream cheese, 2/3 cups of sugar, 2 large eggs, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to preheat our oven, and while that's doing so, we're going to make our sauce. Today we're going to be making a homemade sauce, but you can even buy the fruit type of toppings, you know, like the kinds you buy in a can for pies and stuff. You can even use that. But today we're going to be making it from scratch. So the first step is getting a medium saucepan, not on the oven, so not, with the heat, everybody. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add water. And for fresh berries, it would be 1/3 of a cup, but today we're using frozen, so it's 1/4 of a cup. The next step is we're going to add cornstarch, and we're going to whisk 1 tablespoon. And then after that, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and then 1 tablespoon of sugar. And we're going to keep on whisking all our ingredients. Now we're going to put the saucepan over a medium heat, and we're going to whisk it until the mixture starts to thicken a bit. And once the mixture starts to thicken, we're going to add our berries, and we're going to just keep stirring until it becomes a light boil, which is about 6 to 10 minutes. But it depends, right? But once it starts to thicken, at that point we remove it from the heat, and then we cool it at room temp. And then we store it in the refrigerator, and you can put it in a Tupperware container, just someplace that you can store it. Now for our crust. You can make this either in a pie pan, but today we're using a glass Pyrex dish. And to make the crust, we're going to stir all our crust ingredients, which is basically the graham crackers, the confectional sugar, the 6 tablespoons of butter, melted of course, and the 1/8 teaspoon of salt. So once that's all stirred and mixed, at that point we press the crumbs into the bottom of in our case, the Pyrex dish. Now for the next step, we're going to be making the filling. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to mix together room temperature cream cheese and the sugar until it's nice and smooth. The next step will be mixing in the eggs and the vanilla, and again mixing that until that's smooth. We will pour the mixture over the graham cracker crumbs. And usually when I bake, I like to put a pan underneath it just because I think it's easier and it avoids the spills in the oven. Now it's time to put the cheesecake in the oven. And normally it takes about 20 minutes, but it could even take up to 30 minutes. All depends on your oven. And after the cheesecake is done baking, you let the cake cool. Once the cake is cool, at that point, you can serve it right away with the berries on top, or you can just put it in the fridge until you're ready to serve. And at that point, we're going to be ready to show you the finished product. And this is the finished product. Smacznego. God bless. And remember, God loves you. Bye-bye.